Oh my, I'm gonna be sick.
Turtle power! We've all heard of it, but what exactly is it? And more importantly, who's got the most of it? Today we answer one of those questions, whether it's sheer strength, abundant resources, or genius intellect. I'm Keefe Nossi with Wicked Binge, and this is TMNT Mutant Mayhem, Weak to Powerful.
6 in the morning, police at my door.
Kicking off our list is the closest thing to an average person we've got in this movie, April O'Neil. Really, that's pretty much why she's at the bottom of our list. As one of the very, very few prominent human characters in this film, April's the only character who's pretty much unremarkable in terms of power.
Yeah, I don't think this is gonna help people like you.
She's smart, has a knack for research, and is able to help the turtles from the sidelines, but considering that she can't really fight, she pretty much has to be at the bottom of our list. Second to last place is the mysterious mad scientist Baxter Stockman. Like April, this guy doesn't have any particularly impressive powers. In fact, April could probably body him if she wanted to. What April couldn't do, however, is create a perfect formula for creating mutant humanoid animals to act as family. Now, Baxter isn't physically impressive by any means, but he's an absolute genius. It's no wonder Cynthia wanted to take his formula for her own purposes. I kinda would too. Up next is the first of many, many mutant characters, Wingnut. Like the other mutants, Wingnut has powers related to her animal counterpart, of course. In this case, being a bat. She can fly and is decked out with mechanized weapons as her gear. While she's certainly strong, we don't see a lot of most of Superfly's buddies fighting individually. Mostly, we see them as a team. And given the variety of animal powers they have, we'll be going based on both what we see and their potential in the future. Wingnut, for instance, has some of the best mobility of the group, but not much in the way of actual physical strength compared to the others. We can say roughly the same for Ray Fillet. If you need help traversing water, Ray is your guy. In one scene, Mondo Gecko uses him as a water ski to great effect. He's one of the mutants we see the least of, so there aren't, again, many feats to go by, but since Ray has his specialty in the water, it's more than likely that most other mutants have their own niches as well, which is why we place him a little lower. It's worth noting, however, that they're still all pretty darn close. But now it's time to get to the first real bruiser of the movie, Leatherhead. One of the two gender-swapped villains alongside Wingnut, Leatherhead is a mutant alligator. I don't think much needs to be said other than that since, you know, she's an alligator. Alligators are pretty strong already, so give one the intellect of a human, and I'm pretty sure she had a gun too. Yeah, so you've got the recipe for a tough customer. I can't remember anything she did in the movie, but I can tell you this much. I personally would not want to be on the bad side of a mutant alligator with or without a gun. You'd be smart to not patronize this next entry. Here's Genghis Frog. He may well be the cutest looking mutant in the whole movie, but he's also among the most ruthless. The fact that a frog is able to drive a car, has no problem wielding a battle axe, and even less of a problem using said battle axe is a sure sign of how dangerous this little dude is. Given that he's a frog, he's also pretty slippery. He's tiny, fast, and good at jumping, which would make him presumably pretty darn hard to get your hands on.
Don't patronize me.
Like those before him, he also suffers from, well, you guessed it, little screen time, but he's able to keep up with the others, and given that he's a tiny frog, I have the feeling this dude is way stronger than he lets on. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really vibing with this list so far, especially with my boy, Mondo Gecko. He may be the nicest of Superfly's mutant family, but don't let that fool you. Mondo's downright untouchable. Seriously, this man's skating skills are on another level entirely, allowing him to traverse different terrains with ease and making dodging falling debris look like an absolute cakewalk. Even if said debris does crush him, however, it's no big deal. When Mondo gets his tail detached by falling rocks, he comforts a worried Mikey by assuring him that it grows back. He's like SpongeBob. Even though he's not physically powerful, particularly, he's hard to get your hands on, and even if you do, you won't do much lasting damage. He's almost harder to get rid of than a cockroach. Almost. That keyword is why Scumbag is up next. A relatable character for me. Did you know cockroaches can fly? No? Well, now you do. Enjoy that fact. Scumbag is the furthest from human of all the mutants, mostly communicating in grunts and other strange noises. This makes him one of the most impulsive and unpredictable fighters, which gives him points already. We can assume, since he's a cockroach, that he's pretty durable as well. Like all the other mutants before him, he's one to look out for. Okay, it's time for the entry you've all been waiting for. Let's talk about the heroes in a half shell, the Ninja Turtles. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Why put these four in the same entry when the other gang of mutants were separate? Well, it's simple. The Turtles are not only always seen fighting as a team, but they also are all the same enemy, meaning their powers don't vary. What does vary are their weapons, from Mikey's nunchucks to Donatello's big stick, and their personal strengths. Leo's the leader, able to hold the team together in its toughest moments.
Though we got a job to do.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Donnie's the brains who can easily come up with a plan even in the worst situations. Raph has the strength to lift a truck and has no hesitation to use it. And Mikey is something of a wild card who always thinks outside the box. Each one of them brings something unique to the table that's crucial to how the group fights. Tack on their solid, though not quite mastered, martial arts training, and you've got a pretty tough group of vigilantes on your hands. But you might notice we forgot a couple of members of Superfly's crew. And to that, I say, no, we didn't. If we did, this next entry wouldn't exist. Bebop and Rocksteady are next. For these two, let's see, take Raph's superhuman strength, right? Then make 2 of Raph, then pump them both full of steroids, and that's Bebop and Rocksteady. It ought to go without saying that these two have insane physical strength. They did effortlessly destroy that one arcade machine, after all. On top of that, they have solid endurance, making them able to act as sword or shield, whatever the situation demands. It's honestly crazy to think that those two were outside of our top 5, which begins with Cynthia Utram's underlings. Remember Baxter Stockman from earlier? Yeah, these guys are the ones responsible for apprehending him and getting a hold of his toxic goo. They're basically an incredibly highly trained SWAT team-esque band of soldiers, and given their boss's complete and utter lack of a moral compass, I think they're even more dangerous. These guys care solely about pleasing their employer, no matter who has to get hurt in the process. They have strength in numbers, high-tech weaponry, and excellent fighting skills overall. But where exactly would they be without their leader, Cynthia Utram? An absolutely ruthless human who wants to drain every mutant she can get her hands on of their blood, Cynthia wants to use Baxter Stockman's brilliant research to create an army of unfathomably powerful super soldiers. Her motives for this are unknown. It could be for money, power, or most realistically, it's probably for both. She has an insane amount of resources at her disposal already, though. Those guys we talked about in the last entry, every last one of them answers to her, and they fear her more than enough to do absolutely everything in their power to avoid screwing up. Mutants have even more of a reason to fear her, though. If she gets her hands on them, she'll milk them of all their precious toxic ooze to use for her own nefarious purposes. Only time can tell just how far her influence extends. The only thing keeping her from being higher on the list is that while her influence is extremely powerful, Cynthia herself doesn't really show any powerful feats. It'd feel wrong to place her above our last couple entries. Taking the Bronze Medal of Power is the last of our good guys, Splinter. He's voiced by the legendary Jackie Chan in this iteration, and if you ask me, he's absolutely earned that honor. Splinter may look like an unassuming, gentle suburban dad who also happens to be a giant mutant rat with glasses, but he's still got his fighting prowess. He discovered the hard way that humans were hostile to mutants they didn't recognize, and quite understandably, he took that personally.
What? You watch a movie with a humans? Ugh.
The result was not only a prejudice against humans, but more relevant today, his own study of martial arts, to the point where he was able to train his sons from a very young age so they'd be able to defend themselves. But I hear you ask, how does this remotely justify him getting a top 3 position on the list? Well, it really doesn't. What does, however, is the fact that this man fought off Cynthia's entire army of super soldiers on his own. This was after quickly managing to get to her lair to save the turtles. Splinter's not a man you want to mess with, and by extension, you better not mess with his kids. Unless, of course, you want him to wax the floor on and off with your ass. The Silver Medal of Power goes to the movie's main antagonist, Superfly. Basically, anything we said about Cynthia can be said of Superfly. He has a great sphere of influence, a loyal band of fellow mutants, and even a bunch of human lackeys he hires to do his dirty work to stay below the radar. The difference is that, unlike Cynthia, Superfly is also a force to be reckoned with on his own. He can fly, obviously, he has intense super strength, enough to lift a car and carry it a long way with ease, and is calculating enough to do everything he needs to for his plan without his face ever being seen. So, how is he not number 1? Well, he technically is. It's just that Super Duper Fly is such an insane upgrade that we had to put it in its own category. You know how in some video games you beat the final boss and it's all well and good. Then they become like 1,000 times their original size with way stronger attacks? Yeah, that's Super Duper Fly. The man is strong enough to tower above buildings, crushing everyone and everything in his path with ease. It takes all the other mutants and even humans working together at once to have so much as a prayer of taking him down. He almost manages to crush the turtles to death, and had it just been them fighting him, this movie would have had a much darker ending. Thankfully, the old Attack on Titan method of a weapon to the neck worked against him, but I gotta admit, it's still crazy to think that the only thing standing between Super Duper Fly and the destruction of New York City, and probably the entirety of humanity, is the fact that Donatello likes anime. I knew he was my favorite one for a reason.